Hello and welcome to episode 307 of Sudden Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and I'll start off thanking Fred for filling in for me for a couple weeks while I was in India, and also talking about my time in India. The university was really interesting. This Reliance Industries that is creating the university, called the Geo Institute, they are like if you combined Apple, Google, and Facebook, that would be them.
Oh, wow.
They built the hardware, they have the networks, and they have the delivery system. So it was really, really interesting. Never seen anything like it. They own the Mumbai Indians cricket team, so I watched some cricket. And, I do like the athleticism in cricket where they have to, they play and catch a ball that's fairly hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a cross ball. So that was interesting to watch that. And then I saw this guy was like 6 foot. I'd say 6'6", 6'7".
Oh, wow.
And he would go all the way in the outfield. He was the bowler, the pitcher.
Yeah.
He'd go all the way in the outfield and get a running start and come in and just whip this ball and keep it straight when you throw it. But at 6'7", and with all the momentum, it was just amazing to watch it. It was actually amazing to see people make contact with it.
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine.
So that was fun. On the downside, the pollution was unbelievable. 2 days we were there, it was the most polluted city in the world with a pollution index of over 340.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's insane. The driving is insane. I mean, lanes are like a suggestion. There's 17 million people and almost 4 million cars, not counting motorcycles. So you can understand why the pollution is as high as it is.
Yeah.
And like one of the things I saw a family of 5 on a motorcycle. 3 kids all under the age of 5, sitting side saddle in between the parents.
Oh, my God.
And it just, and people are darting in and out, and dogs are running wild. It's very different. It's the most different of all the places I've been. I've been in 30 different countries. This is the most different thing I've ever seen.
Okay. Well.
So, memorable in good ways, memorable in bad ways.
I see.
But I'm hoping this university, this sport management program, turns out to be really, really cool. I got to do some interviews tomorrow of some students who are going to come in the program, so we'll see.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, before we move to current sports, did you catch up on any of the NBA All-Star breaks since that used to be your stomping grounds?
No, because we didn't. It was on a time when we had stuff going on in India, so I didn't get to see any of it.
And you haven't caught up on this week?
So I haven't caught up. I mean, I read about the kid from the G League that won the slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
And that seemed interesting to me. And I saw that they had sold out the next G League game, and now he's with the Sixers and they're selling his jersey. So I mean, you got your fame from social media and everything else, but I've not heard one person tell me that it was a good game.
No, they've said it. They shot over 100 3-pointers in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the old football Pro Bowl they just got rid of. I mean, players don't want to play hard. They don't want to get hurt, which I don't blame them. They don't want to have any physical contact. They don't want to risk anything.
Yeah.
And so you just got guys coming down, just firing it up, and then going back and not playing defense. So, I mean, yeah, the game is, the NHL has figured it out a little bit, playing with fewer players and more wide open and everything. And it's still a very offensive game, but it's kind of fun, though.
Yeah.
And the NBA thing has really devolved like the Pro Bowl. And I think you just get to a point where you've got to make some changes to see what you're going to do. It's the lowest rated All-Star game in, I think, the last 20 years.
Yeah. And as people have pointed out, as much as Mac and the Philadelphia Kid was the highlight of the weekend with his dunk contest,
Yeah.
that was much more lightning in a bottle. Like, it was fun watching a 6'2" white kid win a slam dunk contest. It was, but you can't do that every year. Like, eventually you can't everybody, because again, Dr. Austin Rivers pointed out on his podcast, there were some guys on YouTube and TikTok that would win every slam dunk contest. But, are you going to start signing these guys to 10-day contracts, have them compete? And the answer is probably no. And the stars aren't going to compete because, as people point out, like, as silly as it sounds, like $500,000 to any of these guys, it just isn't enough money, right?
Well, that, plus, if they don't show well, it could damage them and their reputation in contract negotiations and endorsement deals and everything else. So it's really de-incentivizing them to be in it, unless you know you can win it.
I mean, it's weird that everybody talks about wanting to emulate the GOAT, Michael Jordan, who participated in a bunch of dunk contests.
Yeah.
And even like you look, Kobe Bryant. It seemed like for a while, like Jordan, Dominique, Sean Kemp, all these guys would just compete in the dunk contest because they wanted to compete in the dunk contest. And then the next generation of people, the Kobes and the Vince Carters, it was like for your first 3 or 4 years in the league, you did the dunk contest and then you stopped doing the dunk contest.
Right.
But now we're in an era with, LeBron and Ja and all these really good dunkers that just don't do it, period. They don't even, like, as a rookie, come in and do a dunk contest. So, and yeah, the game itself was, like I said, it was awful to watch. And again, I honestly think you could give each of them $1 million if you're participating in the dunk contest, and I'm not sure they would care.
No, it's not about money. It's about...
Yeah. So.
And it's one of those things, like I said, unless you win it, there's nothing positive that can happen to you.
See, I agree and disagree, because I look back to, like, the dunk contest in Chicago that ended up with Jordan and Dominique in the finals.
Well, that's then. This is now.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing if you don't win it now, there's nothing positive that can happen to you.
No, but I feel like if you showed out like Dominique showed out, where I think Jordan got like 3 50s and Dominique got 2 50s and a 49, I don't think you lose any credibility. I think you look awesome doing it.
No, I agree, but that's then, this is now. The attitudes have changed.
Yeah.
The way they do things has changed. The pressure is different. It was all still fairly new then. Now, you're actually competing against those guys from that time. I mean, you have to measure up to them. What dunks do you pull out? You pull out the dunks that those guys did.
Yeah.
And you try and get attention that way. It's hard. I mean, I think, I do like the skills comp. I like the 3-point shootout.
Yeah.
But, it's what, half an hour?
Yeah. And nobody seems to care if you won the 3-point contest or lost the 3-point contest. Like,
no.
You get your 5 minutes and then it's pretty much forgotten.
Yeah, because everybody understands that shooting-wise, you can have a good night or you can have a bad night. It doesn't reflect your career. So they understand that. The other skills challenge, like the obstacle course and everything.
Yeah.
That's entertainment. I think that too. But the dunk contest, that's one person, standing out, and that's just, I don't know what you do with it.
Yeah. Like I saw some NBA, it seemed like some NBA people were doing the dunk contest has been saved. And then I thought some more nuanced people were like, it was great this year, but this isn't sustainable. Like, you caught lightning in a bottle.
Find this guy. I mean, I guess what I would do, and you and I have talked about this, in fact, it's your idea.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have NBA players. Why don't you just celebrate dunking?
Yeah.
And get the best dunkers from all over the world, just do an online contest, have people send their videos in. It'd be more entertaining, and people...
Yeah, and like I said...
...wouldn't be there because they hadn't seen him, just like they hadn't seen this McClung guy.
And like I said before, you pair...
raise it all.
Yeah, and you pair that person with an NBA All-Star, with an NBA legend, and, a WNBA player and a celebrity, and that's their coaching staff. And they're the ones that are... that's why you're getting all your celebrity and star interaction, and that way they're part of it without being part of it. Because if LeBron's guy loses from Los Angeles, it's sort of like, well, LeBron didn't lose. Who cares?
Yeah. No, they have to do something to freshen it up.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Well, let's talk baseball rule changes, since you said that seems to be exciting for you.
Since talking about freshening it up, the first couple games were around 2 hours and 30 minutes. and the average time last year was 3 hours and 5 minutes. So the rules are big rule changes. I mean, they are speed up rules that actually work. You have 15 seconds to pitch if there's nobody on base, 20 seconds to pitch if there is somebody on base, and you've got to be in the batter's box before there's less than 8 seconds. So you can't be just stepping out all the time doing all the stuff they do with adjusting and everything else, adjusting your glove and everything else. I mean, so it's much, much quicker. And then you've got to be in between batters. I think it's 30 seconds, so you don't have a lot of time. And, it's good. It's really good. You don't need all that. That's so much wasted time.
Yeah, that was, and I would say when I was watching baseball, that's something that seemed like it got worse every year,
Yep. And then the next thing I would do now, if you want one more thing to do, television is a big culprit here, so fine. How, like, on the sporting events lately, like with golf, they'll show a split screen?
Yeah.
Show a split screen. Put the ad on the other side, and just keep the action going. Don't stop. Just show commercials.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's
charge less for them, but charge less. More people won't tune off. They won't. If the commercial's going on simultaneously with the game, people won't leave the room and go do something else.
Exactly. And I was about to say, I was like, there's got to be some research that even if, like, as awful as it is, we all use screen time way too much and we're dual screening everything all the time. But if I'm watching something, when the football has and they have that little side ad that they do rarely, they should do more too. I keep watching the football. Whereas if it's a regular ad, my eyes have already gone to my phone, which, again, is probably not great either, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just... I give shout out to baseball for realizing it's a problem and coming up with a solution. And it's going to take adjustment for players unless they were just recently in the minor leagues and just had that system.
Yeah.
So it'll take. I mean, one game ended yesterday on a strikeout where the guy was called out because he wasn't in the batter's box.
No, I think that's great.
He already had 2 strikes.
Yeah.
So I mean, as long as they're going to do that, as long as people understand that this is the rule. And these things happen, and we're not gonna, we're gonna enforce the rule. It'll work. It'll be fine.
I think so. I definitely think so.
But the 3-hour games are getting just too ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that we'll do that. See how that goes. So I'll keep watching. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Now let's talk about something that I'm appalled by is Alabama basketball with the way they've handled this situation with Brandon Miller. If a guy sends you a text that says, "Bring my gun," and then your justification for letting him play is he didn't see the gun, it was under a pile of clothes in the back of the car.
Yeah.
When you're told to bring the gun, you're bringing the gun. So there's a gun in the car, right? You don't have to touch it. There's a gun in the car.
Yeah. Well, you went there, and
you went there, and and if somebody's asking to bring a gun, what's going to happen?
Yeah, it's going to get used.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Something not good is going to happen.
No.
And then you got a coach that coach tries to explain it away as wrong place, wrong time. And no, it's not wrong place, wrong time.
No, not in this case.
It was a stupid decision.
Yeah. You put a gun in your car and you went to the place. You were in the right place where you intended to be with the gun. Like, even if you didn't do anything, which is the right call, but like you still, wrong place, wrong time is, your friend picks you up from the airport and you're driving along and you didn't realize the car he picked you up in is stolen.
I'll guarantee if this guy was the 9th or 10th guy on the team.
Oh, yeah.
He'd have been charged.
Without a doubt.
But he's probably the best player coming out of college.
Yeah.
He could get them in the Final Four. Did you see his pregame intro yesterday?
I did not, no.
He comes out and has somebody pat him down. He puts his hands in the air and has somebody pat him down. And that was his intro.
Wow.
I mean, you talk about tone deaf, right?
Yeah.
So, and then this coach and the athletic director just don't get it.
No.
I mean, the way they talk about coaches, well, I'm not aware of what happens in the pregame. If you're not aware, you're a coach. You're aware of everything. I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
You're aware of everything. and it's just an embarrassment, and it's just a sad commentary on where we are. That this is most important above all. So I don't know. I'm real down on it. I hope they get knocked out in the tournament. I hope they get knocked out in the first round of the NCAA games.
Yeah.
And I hope some teams see this as an issue and let this guy fall in the draft. Somebody will take him. I mean,
Of course.
It was the old line. They drafted Charles Manson if it hit 300. So, I mean, that's where we are.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the other weird NBA potential news is that Bronny is supposedly a top 10 pick in 2024. Which
Do you believe that?
I think LeBron has a very good hype machine. And I think if you keep saying things and saying things, eventually maybe they become true. I mean, it looks like, the highlights I've seen from like ESPN and things along those lines, looks like he has nice court vision, but he's a 6'2" defensive specialist. And maybe like LeBron is right. If he wanted to score 30 a night, he could probably score 30 a night. But, I don't know how you rank all the high school players across the world 2 years before they would come to the pros. It seems like a weird, I don't know how who's doing that. I think it's hard enough to rank like top 20 football programs, let alone like every high school kid across the country. And I don't know if that's, if that's good for him or bad for him. Because I feel like that's coming from the LeBron, the LeBron James media machine is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to take him just because, it's LeBron's kid. But we saw Michael Jordan's kids.
Yeah, I mean, I was at grad school when Michael Jordan's son came to play. And I feel like that's as far as, usually as far as NBA go, with professional sports, like that was as far as his nepotism could go. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he was at UCF.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a great player.
No, he shouldn't have been on UCF. But I can see, like, if you're UCF, you're not a basketball powerhouse. Now you got Michael Jordan at your games. You got to deal with Nike and Jordan for your shoes. Like, it made total sense. But
totally.
It couldn't get him any further than that. Because eventually, unlike other industries, like in sports, you actually have to be good at sports at some point.
Well, I mean, you could just say his game didn't live up to his name.
Yeah.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, Bronny seems like he's a good player, but I mean, it's just weird that that's coming out now. Like, And then the other thing I saw, and I think we should talk about, could be our last sports story of the day, is in the wake of all these NBA trades, did you see all of Kyrie and Kevin Durant's comments about asking to be traded? And how they feel like that's good for the game?
Yeah, I did see that.
Now, I was thinking about just me personally and what my sports world, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers are literally the only sports team that I have any sort of real loyalty affiliation with, right?
Right.
Because it's consistent, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I grew up with them, and they're part of my thing. Whereas the NBA, I mean, Pittsburgh never had a basketball city. And, I bounced around from the Hawks and the Knicks. But it doesn't leave me with any sense of, I don't know, community is not quite the right word, but any sense of connection, right?
Uh-huh.
And I feel like when, especially, in KD and Kyrie's case, they asked to go to Brooklyn. They asked for James Harden.
Yeah.
They asked for this coach. They asked for the other coach to be fired. Like, the organization could literally do nothing else other than give them everything they wanted, and then they still walked away. And while I agree with Kyrie's comments that if you're unhappy, you should be able to leave, I don't consider any, and maybe you get a headline out during you talk about KD's trade and Kyrie's trade during Super Bowl week, which maybe is good, maybe isn't. But I think it continues to make the NBA regular season and team loyalty less and less important. And then I feel like I become more and more casual of a viewer.
Unless you're a fantasy player and a fantasy follower,
right,
and all you do is care about your individual guys.
I mean, Adam Silver in the NBA.
It doesn't do anything for the continuity of the fandom of a particular team.
No. And the NBA seems to have already made it clear that they don't give a shit about the regular season. Just like, some of those games are almost as bad as the All-Star game, and people sitting out and things along those lines. Like, Anthony Edwards coming out saying you need to play every night to everybody. But if you don't value your regular season, if there's no value to staying with the team.
Yeah, why should I value? I agree as a fan. Why would I pay the money?
Yeah, like I'm just slowly, you're pushing me away slowly. And I know you're getting all the TikToks and social media stuff, and that's great. But eventually, I feel like you're slowly eroding something that I have with the Steelers that I don't have with anybody else. You know, just
Well, how about this? Let me give you a point counterpoint.
okay.
I've never liked the Clippers. Now I like the Clippers. Why?
Russ
is there.
because Russ is there.
And
Yeah,
I like Russ. I've always liked Russ. He's always been one of my favorite players.
yeah,
So a player can change my fandom, but maybe it has to be a player like Russ that is never clamoring to be traded and stayed in Oklahoma City and did all these other things.
yeah. And he was scapegoated from the Lakers, and traded to the Jazz, and the Jazz were automatically going to get rid of him right away. So it's like, and like I said with the KD Kyrie thing, it's like that organization did everything you asked. And the only reason they didn't re-sign Kyrie is because Kyrie did everything you're not supposed to do.
No, and I mean, and the ROI on Kyrie, you didn't know how many games he's going to play. You didn't know what was going to set him off the next time.
Right.
There's just too many intangibles and too much baggage with a player like Kyrie.
Yeah.
Great player, but there's a quotient. I mean, is he worth the aggravation?
Yeah. And again, if it had just been the vaccination, and I'm vaccinated and boosted, whatever. But if you were against it, like I certainly, I can follow your argument to the letter. It's fine. It makes sense. But it was, it was this and it was that. And it was, I need a holiday and I'm taking off because, just a million different reasons. Besides, it was just one thing after another. And again, like I said, I feel like the organization bent over backwards for these players and did everything they possibly could. And then they still don't have those players anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah, I agree. I'm not happy, but I am happy that Russ is a Clipper.
Yes.
And I hope they have a nice playoff run.
Yeah.
And, that's a pretty formidable group. Him, Kawhi, and Paul George. That's a good group of people.
They've now become my second favorite team to win it all. I want the Nuggets to win, then the Clippers, and then Giannis and the Bucks again. Those are the three teams I want to see win the title.
I could really get behind Denver because, when people talk about the NBA, it's, and probably Denver.
Yeah.
They're like they're not top of mind. They don't get the attention or the respect that they deserve.
And I don't want to see Jokic end his career as a Charles Barkley, as a Karl Malone, as a Stockton. I want him to get one chip. And I know Giannis already has one, but he's my favorite athlete in all the sports. So I want him to win another one too. Just because.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right, you got Combine coming up. Tell me about your thoughts on the Combine.
It's a great place to get overhyped, and excited. I think
there's no question about that.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the flavor of the week?
Well, right now the betting odds is Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida, is now the presumed. You get the best odds for him to be the number one overall pick.
And I have no idea how that possibly could be.
Because
I watched him play for Florida, and he wasn't that good.
Because he's so physically gifted, and as people keep pointing out, Josh Allen has ruined everybody. Because Josh Allen threw like a 50% completion percentage, was wild on all of his throws and looked really raw, and now he's one of the best players in the NFL. And, and as a Steeler fan, as we have to make it all about Pittsburgh as much as we can, we want Anthony Richardson to go early because that means 4 quarterbacks will go before the Steelers pick. Which means one of those...
some talented players down to the 17th pick.
Which means one of those tackles could fall. Or if one of those quarterbacks falls, I really like it. It seems like this draft, the Steelers need cornerbacks, inside linebackers, D-line, and O-line. And 3 of those positions, there's a lot of. There's not a lot of highly. I mean, the quarterbacks, everybody's got. Will Levis and Richardson that have both not looked great at times, but physically have all the skills. Yeah, Bryce Young, who apparently looks like a child, and people are worried he won't be able to play in the NFL for very long. And then you have C.J. Stroud, who just everybody is bored by because he just seems, whatever. But there's a lot of offensive tackles, a lot of interior offensive line. There's no standout wideouts. You got some really nice running backs, but that's not a need the Steelers have, and that's not something that goes early on. But my hope for the Steelers is if Broderick Jones, that tackle from Georgia, is still there, or Strognon, the Northwestern, jump on him. And if not, hopefully trade down into the 20s. Pick up another pick and then, grab an inside linebacker there, grab an interior offensive lineman there. So,
yeah, we'll see what happens. But is there a player that you want to see in the combine that you've heard about? Somebody that really gets your interest up?
I think just from a national sports story, like I want to see Will Levis as a quarterback, because a guy that, much like Richardson, who I think they're both perform really well at the combine, but just see what the hype is about. And then I guess Trenton Simpson, the Arkansas inside linebacker, the Iowa inside linebacker, because the Steelers desperately needed an inside linebacker. And no, Steeler Nation, it's not going to be Bobby Wagner. They don't have the cap space, and they're not a contender, so he's not going there. As nice as that would be to have him in the interior. So, to see if there's 3 or 4 inside linebackers that look really good that can move into the Steelers.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because you saw the Bobby Wagner news, right?
Yep, I did.
Yeah. I know the Steelers could move some money around and have cap space, but I think he's looking for something that the Steelers don't provide right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he wants a ring.
He wants a ring. And, as much as I'll have talked myself into the Steelers winning the title by probably July. Because that's what you do as a fan, right?
Yeah.
You have to be delusional, otherwise there's really no point. Just like playing the lottery.
You want that hope.
Yeah. If you don't think you're going to win, don't buy the ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're at least 2 years away if this regime is even ever capable of doing it again. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Like, there's a lot of good players, so. And as we pointed out, the NFL Combine, the NFL Draft, I think gives more hope to teams than pretty much any other sport league. Because they talk about 4th and 5th round picks being contributors, where the NBA, it's like once you get past like pick 7 or pick 8, and baseball and hockey where you're drafting, 16-year-old kids that nobody knows will ever be good. Whereas this one, it's like, Tom Brady's a 6th round pick. Antonio Brown's a 6th round pick. It goes, year after year, there's young, people coming in that really help your team.
Purdy, last pick in the draft.
Last pick in the draft, yeah. I mean, you just go all over the place, and it's possible, and that's that hope, and it's hard to replicate.
It really is, and the NFL's done a great job, and so, it'll be televised this week, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
And
if you want to watch it. I know there's a lot of baseball exhibition games that are on right now too. If you have MLB TV, so get a taste. Jason and I are we're football's gone, so I watched some college basketball yesterday, and I watched everything else to try and get ready for March Madness on the college basketball side. I'll watch some college baseball. I've got ESPN Plus. I'll watch some college softball. So there's lots of great things to watch.
Yeah.
Just not the NFL.
Not the NFL.
Combine.
No. And sadly with hockey, I've kind of become just mostly a Penguins watcher, and they've been given a 1% chance of winning the cup.
Wow.
But, it's a nice team. It looks like the Bruins are really, really set up for another run. So it could be another Boston sports extravaganza.
I watched the Bruins goalie make a goal yesterday.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
No, that was pretty crazy. So you get any entertainment news?
A little bit. We watched Megan, the much hyped.
Oh, the Chucky thing?
Yeah.
She like the doll?
She is a doll. It's kind. I mean, it's pretty well done. Like for a Frankenstein, Chucky, whoever you want to give credit to for humans creating something. But this brings up attachment to screens and attachment to electronic devices, preventing you from as a kid. You become too, it's got a little bit of that going to it, but more in a subtle good way, I guess.
Okay.
And this toy would pretty much, it would be like an iPad times 1,000. So for parents that just like to give their kid an iPad and walk away, now you could have somebody that's watching your kids. You have to do even less parenting. And is that the future? And is that the future we want? It sort of brings up some of those in a good way, which I think is nice,
Okay. So you enjoyed that?
I enjoyed it, yeah. I mean, we have Peacock Plus, or just the Peacock, I'm not sure, whatever that app is, but and it was free on that, both the rated and the unrated, although they were both 141 minutes. So I'm not sure what more unrated you're getting. But if you're afraid of like, there's not a lot of gore or violence in the movie. So if you're on the fence about that, because I know some people are a little sensitive to the horror part, but you're not going to really find a lot of that.
Well, I get an entertainment. It's kind of crazy, but I'm going to tell you. Have you ever heard of a station called Cozy? C-O-Z something or other?
I can say no, I have not.
Okay, neither have I. But they play a lot of old TV series.
Okay.
And I've been waiting for somebody to bring back Banachek with George Peppard, which was on from 1972 to 1974.
Mm-hmm.
And it was part of a rotation. There was like 4 shows on NBC, and they would do like every week they would do one of the shows. So you didn't have the show every week, but you had like about an 8-episode arc over the course of the year, and then another 8-episode arc next season. But you never got time. You always wanted more of the character.
Okay.
And so Banachek was an insurance investigator, and so he would always be brought in on these art thefts and different things like that, right?
Right.
And so, and he's going through the thing, and all the subplots and everything. And at the end, they always Banachek, as he's getting his check from the insurance company, always explains how whatever it was, the theft had taken place. And it's really cool.
Okay.
And most of those shows from that far back, that was 1972 to 74, and they don't hold up. But so yesterday I saw that it was on, so I DVR'd it, and then we watched it last night when we got home, and we enjoyed it because it did hold up. Other than the fashion, which was kind of wild,
yeah,
to see this early 70s again, but the show held up, and it was very entertaining.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, and like tonight, I'm looking forward to. I think it's number 7 of Your Honor, and it just really. I have really, really enjoyed it. It is really, really well done.
Well, that's good. They paid my bills for a few months.
How many little intricate subplots they have, and it's kind of hit you with something else every week that is logical and surprising at the same time.
Yes.
I like the actors. I like the storyline. It's just really well done. Surprised me because I was on record, and I said it on this show before, that when the season ended last year, I thought it was the perfect ending. Just a great one season thing, and I didn't see any way they could approach that. And yes, they did.
Yeah,
it's been great.
I haven't
really enjoyable.
Yeah, and I have an anti-entertainment moment.
Okay.
We signed up for a free trial of AMC Plus, and I don't know if it's with the normal AMC Plus subscription or if just because it was the trial, but we started watching The Witches of Mayfair, which is the Anne Rice set in New Orleans spinoff.
Yep.
Every episode of the first 8 episodes is free except for episode 2. They want you to pay for it. And I thought, if I have a subscription, I should have to not pay for any episode. And it's not like that on all their shows, but that one. And again, it's not even that great of a show, but I just found it really annoying to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna cancel after my free trial because I don't like that business policy.
No, it sucks. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, it's an AMC Plus show. My partner wanted to watch it. We watched the first episode, and then the second episode didn't play right away. We go to it, and it's like, wait, why do we have to pay for this? We already have the subscription. And granted, it's $2, but it's the principle of the $2. I'm not giving them the $2,
I think it's a manipulation. I don't like it either. Just like I don't like the fact that I'm getting hit to pay for the scoreboard for the Pirates.
Yeah.
As a season ticket holder. I don't think that's right.
No, not at all.
You got sponsors for it. You had money from the county. You had money from the state. You get nothing's money. I don't want to pay for it. It's your scoreboard. It's not mine. Yeah,
you can't put stuff on it randomly when you feel like it.
Yeah. So I'm not happy about that. But so anyhow, give me Witches of Mayfair on a 1 to 10.
After the first, it's kind of tough because we only watched the pilot, and we obviously decided we're not, about a principle, we're not giving them $2 after we already subscribed to their station. We're just unsubscribing now. I would say like a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
It's intriguing enough, but because we watched that, and then we ended up watching the first 2 episodes of the Interview with the Vampire TV show. And as much as I think it's far superior to the actual movie, the Lestat is actually, as anyone that knows me knows, I don't think Tom Cruise is a very good actor. I know that's apparently not what the rest of the country thinks, but he's certainly not somebody that I think comes off as connecting to or sexy in any sort of way. And this guy pulls all that off. But the first 2 episodes feel like I'm just watching a longer version of the movie. Granted, it's really well done, and I think both the actors are better than the original actors because I think they're more believable in their parts. But it feels like it's the exact same story over and over. It's still, sexy Lestat who's kind of dangerous, and then the other vampire who doesn't really want to be a vampire anymore and is bored by it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if you've never experienced that story, it might be kind of good. And like I said, we watched 2 episodes, so I don't want to. But it was just like we've both seen this. Like there's nothing surprising,
Yep.
And it's not the kind of story I don't think you want to experience over and over again.
Okay.
Whiny vampires are just not, They're only a step above Twilight sparkly vampires.
Well, I've got some food places that I want to go to.
Okay.
So there's 2 new barbecue places in Tampa that have gotten really good reviews. Like the first one I'm going to mention is a 4.9. It's only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
It's called the Brisket Shop. And the pictures online and the reviews are unbelievable.
Sounds good.
So I've got to hit that one. And the other one of my foodie friends has told me about, is called Wicked Oak. And it's a really good barbecue place. They have their own restaurant, and they've also now in Emily Arena.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to check those 2 out. But I have not been to either one yet. So I need to go. They're on my list of places to go.
Yeah.
Really good reviews. So if anybody's been to those, reach out to me and let me know. But those 2 places are on my list of places to go.
Okay.
I don't have any good food reviews from India. I didn't think I'd like Indian food. I didn't like it, but the fish dishes I had were decent.
Okay.
But nothing that said, I didn't post any. I don't think I posted a food picture. Maybe I did post one. Yeah, I did. I did post one. I said, this is a healthy meal for those who don't think I eat healthy. And I had vegetables, rice, and the fish on the plate. And
that is a nice healthy meal.
That was probably the best meal I had while I was over there.
Okay.
But I did have a Krispy Kreme donut when I was over there.
Ah.
And it was good.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme is one
that was good.
They make really good donuts. They just really do.
But they do have McDonald's and they do have Burger King, but they don't sell beef.
Yeah, I was going to say, but they don't sell beef, right?
So the Whopper is a chicken Whopper, and the Big Mac is a chicken Big Mac.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, this week I head back over like I was in fall to Glasgow, Edinburgh, St. Andrews, Manchester, and Dublin.
Nice.
So I will report on that when I come back. And you've got Fred and his son filling in for me for the next 2 Sundays.
Yeah.
So everyone, when I come back, it'll be getting ready for the first 4 in Dayton that week, and followed by the first round of the NCAA games.
Exactly. Yeah, and with Fred's son, he's still in high school, so we're going to talk so you get the youth perspective on some sports and their thoughts on, where we are with the NBA and about on social media and all that sort of stuff.
And I am going to Sweet 16 this year in Las Vegas.
Nice.
So that should be an interesting. I'll be able to report on that. That should be an interesting show.
I think so.
I haven't been to Las Vegas since they've got the teams and the new arenas and the new buildings. So it'll be my first trip to Vegas probably in about 10 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you guys next week, and you'll see us in 3 weeks, right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you for listening.